Hello everybody, it's Jacob with J&J Engraves. Today we're going to be going over what Lightburn does to your photo when you put it in Lightburn. I've been trying to help some people on Facebook recently with some pictures in the Facebook groups, and I've been seeing a lot of people just don't quite get what Lightburn is doing, and I'm going to try to just make this simple, easy to understand. I think it's important to understand this because you'll need to know this simple basic part of it. I mean, it's not basic, but this, you need to understand this in order to edit your photos properly. If you're not understanding what Lightburn's doing, how dither patterns work and such, you're not going to be able to really edit things correctly until you do. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to import our image first of all. And I'm going to be working today with my favorite Ninja Turtle, Raphael. He is looking good right here. I have him already edited and prepped in Photoshop. So if you guys want a video on that, let me know. I will do one on Photoshop, and I guess I could download GIMP again and maybe do one on that if people wanted to do GIMP instead. But for me, I personally use Photoshop. I like it a little better. Anyways, now that we've got it in our workspace here, what we have is a Ninja Turtle. So when you go into your photos, when they're imported on the workspace, it's how it would appear on your phone, it's how it would appear on a monitor. Anywhere else, it's going to be in pixel format. So you're going to see the pixels here when you zoom in. On the edge of the head here, you have squares, and all these squares have different shading values, and these make up the image. And basically what a dither pattern is doing is it's doing the same thing but with dots, and that is what Lightburn converts this picture into whenever you import it into the workspace. So if you're not going into a couple of menus and checking things, you're not really seeing what the dither pattern is doing. If you're just popping it in here, pressing start and adjusting some things in here, you're really missing out on quite a bit of what what Lightburn can do with your photos. So I'm going to show you guys real quick a couple things you can do in Lightburn to make the photos a little bit better after you've processed them in Photoshop, or before you've processed them. You can do these things before that, and you can still get some good results. I just think you'll do a lot better doing some outside editing first before you import it into Lightburn, but you can still use these tricks to do some editing. So what you want to do is, once you have your image imported, you want to go to Adjust Image. You would right-click the image. This little menu is going to pop up with cut, copy, paste, all that good stuff. And then you would go to the bottom here, and 3 up from the bottom, it'll say Adjust Image. Click on that, and this is going to be your Adjust Image menu in Lightburn. Right here, you have your image mode. You've got a few to choose from. You've got Jarvis, Threshold, Order, Atkinson, Dither, Stucky, Newsprint, Halftone, Sketch, Grayscale. All these things some of them are really similar, and then a few of them are way different, and you would hardly ever use them. And I'm going to go over those real quick. But first of all, let's zoom in to this picture on over here on the right. This is going to be your dither pattern on the right, and this is the original photo on the left. We're going to zoom up to that head corner again that we looked at earlier, and I'm going to show you guys the difference. So up until this point, it kind of just looks the same. Like, you couldn't tell the difference, which is good. That's what you want it to do. You want this dither pattern to mimic this as best as you can. But once you zoom in and you get past a certain point, you can start seeing the difference. Now you can start seeing the little dots and how everything's a little bit different. Now this still looks pixelated and good. This is starting to look a little dotty and crazy. And once we zoom all the way in, this is what your dither pattern is doing. So you can see all this through here. The dots get thicker through here to try to recreate those grays and the darker tones. Right here, they're super close together, so it can give you that black tone through here. And that's what the dither pattern does. Let's press OK real quick, and I'm going to go into the preview menu up here. This preview menu shows you exactly how your laser fires as the image goes. So it'll show you what your laser is doing throughout the period of everything. And you can see once we come up to here, this is how your laser's interpreting these dots. So it's going to go beep, 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 and then it's going to go back, beep, 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 and it's just going to do that back and forth over these lines. And that's what your laser is firing over to create the image. And when you zoom out far enough, this is what you're hoping to achieve, right? So it's a little different. You could have a photo perfectly prepped. You know, it could look really good to you, but it might not be great for the laser engraver. So it's really, you know, you've got to learn how these tones work, what your machine does really good at handling. If it's, you know, if it struggles, if you've got a really high end, like 150 watt or something, you're going to have a fatter laser beam than somebody with like a 60-watt laser would have. And you might struggle getting some of these finer grays and these details. This whole area in here might just become scorched. You might have to go lower on the DPI to keep your dots from burning too close together. So let's go back into the adjust image menu, and I'll show you what I mean by that. So like these dots in here, if you were to zoom in, they're going to be super close together. And as the laser fires across, you really don't want them overlapping and touching each other as they're firing. You want each dot to be its own independent thing, because that's what's going to create the image the best. And if they're overlapping and firing and you're not getting any space in between here, like this little white area that my mouse is hovering around, then you're not going to create that shading that you're wanting to create. So that's why it's important to understand when you're in like a program like Photoshop or something like that, that you can that you really need to make this thing breathe in certain areas, and what grays will work the best. So I honestly think that my edit in Photoshop's a little bit on the dark end of this. Before I'm going to do anything though, I'm going to go ahead and enhance my radius and my amount. I normally do 25 and around 50. But you can play around with these and see if you can make it work out better. I just think that this tightens it up, makes it look good without altering it too much. And if you're wanting to show more white and make things breathe a little more, you can always go to contrast and pump that thing up, you know, 2 or 3 times just to see what happens. And what that does, so we'll go from 4 and then I'll go back to 0. And it just adds more dots if you don't have, you see how it just took some away, so that's going to allow it to breathe a little more, and you might show more detail that way. And you can see on the original here, I mean, that's going to look cool if I can make that turn out. So let's press OK. I think I've got it edited right where I want it. I'm going to adjust the time because I don't want to spend too much on it. This will take about 10 minutes for me to burn. And I'm going to go into my layer settings real quick, show you guys that, just so you can see what I'm working with on my machine. Now I'm using a 100 watt CO2. I have a 2.5 inch lens focus on my machine. I normally run my photos at 200 millimeters a second, 22 power, 0 minimum, 318 DPI on this one, 180 degree scan angle. That starts from the top, works its way down, and just one pass on it. That's really about all you do. And if you wanted to create like a cut square around it, you know, you can do, hit your selection tool, hit that, make these the same size real quick. Let's see, where's this button? I think these are it. Boop, boop. And then you would hit your bullseye, and there you go. Now you've got a cut line around it, and we'll go make this bad boy real quick. Actually, I need to change that. That's too high. Man, my settings are all wacky today. 8 and 55, and we're good to go. Let me I'm inside right now. I gotta go hook this thing up to the machine. It's cold today and I didn't feel like doing this video outside, so let's go hook this thing up to the machine, see how it turns out, and I'll be back. Thank you guys so much for the support over the past year, by the way. If you liked the video, be sure you subscribe. Leave a comment if you have any questions or anything. Hopefully this video is doing a good job of explaining kind of what's happening when you're importing these pictures into Lightburn. And if you have any more questions, I'll be happy to try to answer them as best as I can. But thanks again. Let's get this thing burnt and see how it turns out. Alright, so what you got here is the laser engraver going to work. It's doing its thing like it's supposed to do. The turtle looks kind of bad during the engraving, but it ends up coming out okay. Can't frame my stuff very well, but you can see here, I got a lot of those details to shine in that turtle. I probably could have got a little bit more if I would have went, you know, maybe 20 power instead of 22. But, you know, you live and you learn. Either that, or I could edit it and make it a little brighter and take away some of those dots, and that would let some of that breathe a little more. But I think it turned out really good. Personally, myself, I wouldn't be upset if I had to sell this to somebody. It's not awful. Pretty decent engraving. And I think here in a second it's going to roll over to a picture of it. So I just want you guys to pay attention to how all this works. It's, you know, if you're, if I was to pull this turtle up and let's say all these, the legs just didn't show any contrast at all, it didn't show any of that detail in the legs, and I think we would have a problem. I don't think that would be very desirable. But real quick, I'm going to go back into Lightburn. We're going to go over the other dither patterns that Lightburn offers and what all those do, and after that, the video should be done. Hopefully you guys are enjoying and learning a bunch. Alright everybody, we're back. I forgot to go over a couple things on the adjust menu with these other dither patterns. So right now we are working with Jarvis. That's what we did that photo with, and that's how it came out. That's the one that I typically use and like. We're going to go over a few of these real quick just to show you. Threshold, over here is where your image mode is. It's got a drop down menu. You've got a whole bunch of different ones to choose from. Threshold's first one up. It's just going to pull black and white from the photo. You can actually get a decent picture off of this sometimes, but I wouldn't use it for images. I would use it for like logos, something that doesn't have a lot of grays in it. If it's just black and white photo, or another dither pattern, if you're just working with a dither pattern, you could use threshold because it's just going to pull the black dots that the dither pattern is into here. So you can do that, or you would use it for like I said, like a logo or something, a vector graphic that's only black and white or something like that. Ordered's going to be basically like a checkered pattern look. And it doesn't really look organic. It looks kind of, I don't know, printed. I don't like it as much. But you can get a decent looking image out of it. It just doesn't look and feel as good as I think Jarvis does. I think you'll know what I mean. If you ran one in ordered mode, it'll look like it. And you'll say, something's just off about this. This doesn't look right, though. And then you'll go in your settings and, oh, it's in ordered mode. That's why. So you'll get the image to come out. It'll look like it's, it'll look like a Ninja Turtle, like it's supposed to. It'll just kind of look funny. I don't know how else to describe it. And it's kind of bad for sanding, I've noticed. Like if you go too dark, that checker pattern creates these little edges that chip off when you're sanding. So I don't really love it that much. It's good to take like a grayscale photo. Let's say you're working with a 3D model and you're trying to create like a depth illusion or something. It's good to save those as ordered dither patterns and then run them as a grayscale. But I have another video showing you how to do that. Atkinson's going to be a decent dither pattern. I don't hate Atkinson. It doesn't really let these blacks give a lot of shading in here. You can see it's kind of just dark. So it's not my favorite, I don't think. I don't really use it a lot, so it may do fine. This one's a little better. You can see it kind of lightened up. You got a few dots allowing this to breathe a little more. Stucky's a decent one. My wife likes that one a lot and uses it all the time. And for me, it's Jarvis. It's going to do pretty much all those are going to be really, really, really similar. For me, Jarvis is the best one, but I'm biased, so pick whichever one you like best. Newsprint's going to do a lot like a newspaper would do. So you can see it's got really chunky pixels, and it's going to, it's trying to make it look like it would on, like if you were printing this on a newspaper. It's that same effect. Halftone is a little different. Now you can actually go into halftone and you can change this up quite a bit. You can go in and you can make these cells really chunky. So you can see, like, changing that to 25, how blocky and ugly it is. So if you add more cells per inch, which is basically dots, then you can recreate the pattern and get more of those shading values. You can change the orientation, the angle of it, so you can kind of give it that same kind of look, like kind of like ordered does. But I don't really like halftone too much. I don't use it a whole lot, but some people may. And this is going to give you kind of like a sketch output of what it would look like. And then grayscale, this is going to be if you were trying to use trying to show relief, depth. So if you were making like something that would be best suited for like a CNC router, you would try to do it with the laser engraver. I've never had a lot of luck with getting good reliefs done, and by the end of it all, it's like I would just rather have a CNC. But you can create some really cool 3D illusion effects with the grayscale tool. And like I said, I have a video on the channel showing you that. So I think it's make your own Etsy files or something like that's what I named it. But check that out when you get a chance. If you're interested in learning about grayscale, and that should give you a little bit more information on that. But that's basically all the image modes you've got there. I think that the sample that I showed you guys turned out really well, and I think it's, this is the way I do pictures. Everybody kind of finds their own way, and you'll probably end up, creating your own variation of my method if you pick up anything from me. And that's really what makes this whole thing go around, is everybody learning and sharing their information and knowledge. And I'm happy to do that with you guys. Like I said before, if you guys are enjoying the content, be sure you leave a like and subscribe and all that great stuff. Share the video on the group pages. If you see somebody that needs some help with something, send them my way. I'd be happy to help. And if you guys have any further questions or want some content that you wanted requested, leave me a comment and I'll see if I can do it. But thanks again, everybody, and I hope you have a good one. Peace.